Hi, everybody. I'm here with Katarzyna, and Katarzyna and I have known each other since 2019. We met each other at a Dr. Joe retreat, and then we started doing a lot of work together, like coherence healings, and at one point also constellations. And in the recent 2 months, I had the download that I really need to do the work with money constellations, because money is creating so much anxiety and stress and suffering, and it really sort of gets people out of the vortex, as Abraham would say. And despite all the teachings out there, and we know what to do, the money, staring in your face, your bank account, and all of that can create quite a lot of survival emotions. And interestingly, Katarzyna is a heart and brain coherence specialist, an educator, and a scientist. And actually, she's working on an amazing project. And she somehow turned up in the first money constellation that I did in a long time. And then at one point, she was even chosen by the field as an issue holder. And so I just wanted to ask Katarzyna, I mean, how was it to be in somebody else's money constellation and to really channel the consciousness of money of that specific person? How was that for you? Because that was such a powerful money constellation, because what you were channeling was so empowering, and so it flies so much into our face of how we project our lack of power onto money. But money is actually a very empowering presence, right? So maybe you could tell me, how did you feel before you showed up in the constellation, and what happened during the constellation?
Well, hello everybody once again. Thank you, Angelique, so much for first of all what you are doing and what you are offering. I need to tell you know that, but I would like everybody to know that I love Angelique and her work and her contribution, and she simply knows all those things. She knows how to operate. She knows how to navigate. It is so good to be in such process with someone who simply downloads all the information just like that at this spur of the moment. Well, yeah, after a long time that we didn't have any contact, I suddenly decided, oh my gosh, yeah, Angelique is doing some constellation. I love constellation with Angelique. So I appeared. I was very tired, and I thought, oh my God, maybe I should change it. Maybe I will write, okay, I won't be able. But somehow I knew deep down that I needed to be there. And I came. And at the very first moment that I was chosen as the element, I didn't know what element I was. This is one of those rules in the procedure, that you do not know what element you are unless Angelique says, right? So I became, literally like somebody else. I became very self-confident. Well, extremely self-confident. I simply knew exactly what I was supposed to say, and there was no doubt. So I behaved really in a different way. So not only was I bossy, but I also, identified so well with the element. I felt really, really well, and but it was surprising. So I was surprised a few times, but it felt so good. And I knew exactly what message was supposed to be transmitted to whom. And I didn't question that at all. I simply felt like a fish in the sea, because, I really love following my intuition, but somehow lately I became so overworked in my projects, all those scientific things like the research method and so on, that somehow I missed that intuition element. And it turned out that it works even better, So all in all, me as the element of money, I felt really great in that role. and the issue holder got the message, opened his heart, somehow didn't question at all, didn't put many questions, why, how. He simply, absorbed somehow the energy and the messages, and well, that was amazingly wonderful. I loved the experience, and I am so happy that it helped Christian, the person that was there to change his reality, because he managed to absorb what was going on in the constellations, and he used it in his real life. And it happened like that. The next week he manifested many possibilities and opportunities that he hadn't had for a long time in his life.
Yes, absolutely. And bear in mind that, people like him and yourself, you have a practice of actually meditating, being in heart and, brain coherence, the theory. You're not like somebody who is just in their survival program all the time. You monitor yourself. What was the value of actually really getting to understand that money has a different type of consciousness according to somebody's relationship to it? Because you've done quite a lot of different constellations right now. What have you seen in all the different constellations? What do you think a money constellation can show people?
Well, I believe that for everyone, the money issue is a bit different. The dynamics is different. The challenge, the challenges are different. And in constellations, you always get the answer. You always leave integrated. There is always some shift. Even if especially if you cannot identify the real issue, the money constellation is an ideal option, because you come, you show up, and that's enough, right? And you trust the field, because Angelique, she knows exactly what to do and how to do it, how to lead the whole process. I don't remember, I didn't even think for a minute, for a second, if what was going on was right or no. I didn't have any doubt. So we simply, as a group, we follow the dynamics of what is appearing. And coming back to money itself, right, everyone has got some different perspective and different challenges. But all in all, I would say that usually or mostly it comes to such concepts or feelings and revelations as self-worth, as in my case. I didn't realize, before my constellation that the real issue with manifesting money in my life was self-acceptance, self-love, self-worth, trusting myself more. The key issue for myself in my constellation was confidence, self-confidence. And for many people, it's more or less the same. But of course, there are other issues. There are ancestors, there are relationships, and it shows up exactly as it should show up, because if you are ready, you simply jump in and leave different. This is what really happens. We've done, I believe, 4 or 5 constellations so far with Angelique, because we meet almost every Sunday now. And every person that showed up and jumped into the process and trusted the process left integrated more. And the shift is visible and felt physically, because you feel more comfortable at the end. The dynamics are, during the process, you can feel a bit uncomfortable from time to time, but this is it. This is how it works. Yes, this is how the process works. but you leave integrated. You leave with the shift that you need for this exact moment to happen. And always there is something that is happening in the physical plane after the constellations. There is always something. So, you know, you need to be open and look for the change, right? And it always so.
I know that when the way that I work is, so I work with blind constellations, so people don't know what they represent, so they don't know whether they're representing, let's say, self-confidence or money or, you know, love and prosperity consciousness, or even, you know, the vortex. I've done vortex constellations as well. And but what I think is so beautiful is that people are very authentic. They don't have to think, oh, now I have to speak and think like money. They just feel what they feel, and they feel the connection, or they feel a lack of being invited. Like, you know, in my own money constellation, my money said to me, well, I'm not being invited, and I knew that that was what I was doing. That was my block. So in your constellation, it was really interesting because when you were chosen, you were almost in shock, and it felt like the main thing for you to open up to was, I am actually also I'm also able to receive, because it felt like, you know, what I know from the people that I know, we all want to give, but you were so resistant to receiving. So and in that day, I actually constellated an element which was, I'm ready or worthy to receive, which Dr. Joe talks a lot about. And that was also a big piece of the work that we had to do with you. I know that actually after the constellation, you know, there were certain elements that were not feeling really well, and we did an integration. So after the constellation, I set up another call to do an integration, which I feel is very important, because sometimes people get out of a constellation more confused, and I don't want that to happen, because I feel that the field has given so much information. Those people that are not feeling integrated or feeling in the question mark more, we need to take them by the hand and help them get sink into the new picture of how their reality has shifted. And I know that after the shock of being the issue holder for you, where you had to look at your money and yourself, the parts of yourself that were trying to get through to you, or that were not ready for money or abundance, actually you then started having maybe a different relationship with money, and even manifested a deal closing. But I'm sure that you integrated the insights in some way, because I believe that if you had done nothing with the insights, and you would have just woken up the next day and be the old self in stress, in survival, would you have manifested this deal closing? I'm just really curious. What do you think?
Well, that's a very good point, you know, because I took it seriously, really.
Yeah.
Because I was surprised so much to have been chosen by the field. I was not prepared at all for that, because I came.
We wanted to help. You wanted to
Yeah,
help
I came
other
to support
people.
others. Come on, what's happening? And you know, I felt very uncomfortable, and I felt uncomfortable, and it was not feeling well that I felt uncomfortable for myself. So there was even more, you know, it was even more challenging. Yeah, but when we did the integration a few hours later, everything became, maybe not everything, but I had the feeling that all of the elements somehow came into the right spaces, that some elements integrated. I felt that I understood, not, you know, not in the head, because you don't get it by the head. You somehow feel it in your heart that it's right. So I felt it. But of course, the next few days, I came back to my notes, I came back to the recordings, and confronted even more. So at some point, I felt very, very comfortable and easygoing with what was happening at this constellation, because at some point I even thought about myself, oh my gosh, why I was behaving in this way, what they thought about me. It disappeared, it dissolved. And that's probably why, not probably, that's why when you do your reflections, when you do your work in your way, yes, this is important. You don't have to follow any specific, steps or methods. If you focus on your feelings from the space from your heart, you know how to integrate in your way. And it took a few days, and we had a meeting with an investor, and it was a challenging deal. It took quite a few weeks to organize that all. I came to the meeting. I was really self-confident in a different way. It became my real asset, I am a confident person in general, but somehow maybe in the whole process of working with my project, I became somehow lost, maybe a bit. I don't know, but coming back to the meeting, we manifested the money, yes, for our project, and we are continuing. It is challenging because we are doing things that nobody did before. So, the more you move into the woods, there are more and more trees, yes? But anyway, not only did I become more confident, but I also regained my energy, because
because it was draining you.
Yeah,
you were feeling drained
I
and
was
not as enthusiastic anymore, because
Yeah.
it was really like your heart project.
Yeah.
And suddenly when these let's say monetary challenges or doubts or uncertainties come in, then suddenly it gets entangled with the real hard business reality of wow, but these things have to get in line first before I can actually feel confident or successful. And then suddenly these things creep in. But what I think in your money constellation, it was not about the project. It was all about your own alignment with your ability to channel or carry a project that only you could implement because of your knowledge, your wisdom, and your education. You were chosen by the field to create this new pioneering project, but parts of you still had to feel in the right place, in the right space, to actually allow themselves to say, hey, I'm not alone. I actually am in a good place. It was really, really insightful.
That's
Yeah.
true. And I would like to say something more, because that was very obvious for me after our constellations, that it doesn't affect only you. I don't work individually. I usually in my life I worked as one, and now for the first time in my life I work with the team. Beautiful people, but every person is an individual energy kind of system, right? So it didn't affect only my own attitudes and perspectives, but it influenced the whole team, and I could feel that. Yes. So all in all, it was win-win-win-win process, right? So I would recommend it even more, because it's not always about you yourself. When you shift yourself, when you integrate yourself a bit more, you simply influence the rest of your space around, right? And it's absolutely the bonus, right? So if you live with other people, probably you do, right? People, but like plants benefit, animals benefit, the whole space benefit. So benefits. So it's really a beautiful process, I would say. And I can feel it physically.
So if you could explain, the difference between, let's say, studying a book or being in a study group or being like going to a lecture, listening to a webinar or to watch a reel versus energy work using constellations. What would you say is the main difference? Because I know that I saw you shifting each week. You were always manifesting somehow the intention that we didn't even know when we were sharing after a constellation. You would always somehow manifest being becoming the energy of your intention during a constellation, right? So what would you say is the difference between, let's say, going to a meditation retreat or maybe doing a clearing with EFT, or there's so many different things that you could do, versus doing the energy alignment work in a constellation?
Well, this is absolutely a huge difference. You can't compare that. I would say this is the real experience. And it's not the experience, well, of course, meditation is also a real experience, right? Reading a book is an experience, but the constellation is an extremely intuitive process. So you don't think much. You need to involve yourself 100%. Well, it's worth involving 100% because if you follow the dynamics that appears at the spur of the moment, you get the most. You simply kind of surrender and you follow the process. And in meditation, you need to follow. Well, you don't need to, right? But usually there is some guidance. There is the voice that you focus on. In constellations, you focus on the dynamics, and this is kind of flow that is not interrupted or is not moderated before. It is going on alive. So you are the energy, you are the flow, you are the change. You can feel it. You don't understand, and it's good because
You just have to trust the
yes.
feeling. So, and also what you've noticed, right, is like you could not be speaking, and it could be an interaction between the issue holder and another element, or different elements speak, and you feel the change, or you feel frustrated, or you feel more
Yeah.
energy in your heart. So as you witness all the other elements that are part of you being reflected back to you, you start to feel shifts in your own energy. But you also know at what point the energy is really more powerful and more aligned, because before that happens, you simply feel that there's no alignment. It's not right. Yeah.
And
So it's
I
very
would
much about
say
feeling.
this is interesting for me. It's very interesting because I am a very sensitive being, I would say, as it comes to energy. I have worked with energy for many years now, but I am still very sensitive somehow. And before the constellations, on the day, and
Yeah.
I have noticed that it's usually like that, like every time that I can already feel some issues coming up. Maybe not so much issues because I don't understand them always, but the feelings come up, some emotions come up, which usually are not there, right? So
Wow.
I know it's already working, right? So when we appear at the constellations, the energy merges wherever you are, because we come from different parts of the world, and this is absolutely beautiful because the energy is kind of merging and shifting anyway, and you can feel it physically. This is what
Yeah.
you just said. And for me, I would say the opinion about good treatment is when you leave the session and you feel better. For me, it means that the treatment or the therapy worked or works. And it
Yeah.
always happens so. Always. Every constellation we do, I leave in a better mood, maybe a bit tired, but this tiredness is a good tiredness, you know. I feel completed, I feel shifted. There is always something going on for better.
Can you have you worked with other people doing constellations before?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I use a lot of modalities as it comes
Yes.
to working with energy, but
Yes.
but money constellations are very, very specific. But what I need to say, it's so specific and appealing and so special and appealing to me because, again, because of Angelique. She simply knows what is going on, and it's not knowing, you know, from here. She knows from the field, and she sometimes even speaks in a different voice a bit, or leads other people in a different way. And you don't question that, you simply follow that, and it always comes out good.
Thank you so much.
True.
So I sometimes wonder whether the constellation are always revealing the quantum field. From my experience, you know, I studied constellations in 2007, and I kept continuing with the trainings, and then I did organizational constellations. Then I started my own workshop, so I experimented a lot. What I do believe is that constellation are really much led by the collective intention, but the intention of the facilitator and the amount of information or what the facilitator can tune into is very important. So, and I think what I bring into constellations that might be different from other people is my obsession with the abundance teachings. So the love and prosperity and oneness teachings, my obsession with experimenting with different modalities, and my obsession with really understanding how abundant, prosperous, powerful, and beautiful the reality is, in contrast to how we sometimes feel about it. We very often feel disempowered, in lack, in separation, not ready, not open, and we rather shrink back like a victim and be in blaming mode. But when I understand what I have created and what I've seen, I remember, no, constellations, if I can inject my consciousness into the constellation and I invite the collective intentions for the dreams and aspirations and talents of the people that I work with, then so much is possible. And that is what I think is really, it's beyond just what is the dynamic of my family. You know, it's beyond seeing what is the blueprint of my family. We actually go a step further. We look forward. We look, yes, we know, you know, there's so many, we already know what the dynamic is of the family. I mean, how we don't have to look at that anymore. Now we just have to look at how much power are we giving away, and how much are we not listening to the wisdom of money. How much are we not even integrating love and prosperity consciousness, and actually really just wrapped up in some kind of little trance that we're in, you know, making ourselves feel poor, or making ourselves feel, I'm stuck. So, and I think this is why I enjoy what I do so much. But I have to say, you know, seeing you take constellation so seriously, and also seeing your evolution in the constellations, where your intentions became more and more almost like about the true nature of reality, and you then being able to bring that into constellation, was very beautiful to see. So I look forward to seeing what the field will give, and I thank you so much for giving this little
one last thing, because, well, I need to say that, you know, our last constellation last week, I had the intention for money from an unexpected source, and it happened. You know, the money is not there yet on my account, but the institution, you know, gave me some information, let me know that there is some money to be on my account in the nearest future, and I treat it as, you know, as it's already there. And I was surprised, but also not so much surprised.
Oh my God.
It's happening. It's really happening. And this experience of the institution letting me know, but the money is not, you know, yet on the account, but I know it is. And this is the beauty of it all. Yes, how I'm really happy, and I'm smiling to myself. Okay, this is how it works. It's coming.
Oh my
I'm not
God.
checking that, but I know it's coming and it's there already. So yeah,
Wow, we need to
I know
interview you
you
with the
are.
quantum. We need to interview you with the quantum abundant geniuses, because there
Okay,
we are doing an experiment with just basically manifesting money from the unknown without controlling it,
okay, well,
without,
be
you know,
very
just
happy.
by thought alone. Yeah,
Okay,
would be amazing. So
thank you.
much more to look forward to. And then you'll be questioned by a lot of people that are doing the work, not just me. So it will be very interesting.
Great.
Yeah. Katarzyna, in 10 minutes, we're going to do another money
Yeah,
constellation. So I'll have to get ready and I'll see you in the field. Lots of
I
love.
will have some soup. My mother has
Ah,
some. Yes, I am now with my parents. I haven't seen them for
yes.
3 months. Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys.
See you soon.
See you.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you, Angelique.